Welcome along again, everybody, to the latest in conversation. And I'm absolutely delighted to be joined today by no other than Chris Hill of the Huddersfield Giants. Chris, welcome to Super League Raw.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. We're going to be going through your career in a few moments' time. But like we do with all guests, we're just going to settle you in nice and quickly. So we'll start off. What's your favourite film, Chris?
Oh, put me on spot here, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'd say Great Escape. All
Yes,
time classic. I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Steve McQueen. Lovely.
Yeah, Steve McQueen, yeah.
Your favourite song, mate?
Oh, favourite song. Say favourite probably band will be Arctic Monkeys, so one of them.
Nice. Nice. Well, listen to a bit of that before the games, get you in the mood.
No, I'm not a big music fan in general. Arctic Monkeys because we did a pre-season trip down to Sydney. In 2012, my first year at Warrington, and that's when they were sort of just coming through. And Simon, who owns Warrington, Simon Moran, was managing them, and they were on at a small venue down there. So they got us tickets, and we all team went. So that's why I sort of. But no, I'm not a massive. Lads walk around with ghetto blasters and what on the shoulders and all that, and no, I'm not a massive fan of listening to music before a game, really.
Fair enough. 3 words that best describe you. How would the missus describe you?
Oh no, gee, I don't know if I can say it anyway. Serious at times, probably too serious sometimes, and very dedicated to what I do, whether that's my work, my plumbing, and I'm probably a very loving person if you ask me, missus.
Nice.
Yeah.
On Valentine's Day, we wouldn't expect anything less from you.
Yeah.
Happy days. Happy days. What are you watching on the telly at the minute? What's your favourite show?
Just finished Trigger Point.
Nice. Season 2.
Just literally finished it last night. Yeah, we was on about this, me and wife. When people go on about box sets and the binge watching, we don't get time. We barely watch half an hour, fall asleep for halfway through episode, turn it off, and then try and catch up on it again day after. That's a busy household, ours.
Fair play. Right. Fool on the Hill by the Beatles or Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush?
Running Up the Hill.
Superb. What's your go-to dance move at a wedding?
Oh, it take me a few drinks to get dancing. The old two-step, probably.
Two-step. Fair enough. Fair enough. Right. Let's get into some rugby. Favourite away ground? Where do you like to go and play away from home?
Super League.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
All international. All international.
Suncorp was really good, Brisbane. But if we keep Super League, I like when playing at Leeds.
Yeah.
Wigan on a Friday night's good. Yeah, Wigan on a Friday night.
Fair enough. Right, your rugby league hero. Who was your hero growing up in rugby league?
Twigger Marler.
Nice.
At Wigan, yeah. I used to sit, my grandma used to be a steward at Wigan at the Old Central Park. So I used to go down. She used to hop me in over. Me granddad was the tunnel steward, so you sit on his knee and watch all the players go out, and then I go sit on wall and watch Wigan at the Old Central Park.
Good player, good player. Who's been your hardest opponent in your career to come up against?
Hardest opponent. I'd probably go with Matt Scott was our opponent, the Aussie front rower. Sonny Bill Williams, when I played him against Kiwis, he was solid. I'd go probably Matt Scott because he was a front rower. He was unbelievable.
Who's the best player that you played alongside in your career?
Oh, boy, it's a hard one, that. Say for what he could do and what he brought, I'd say Sam Burgess.
Burgess, yeah. How do you think he'll go at Warrington?
I think he'll do well. He'll have the dressing room straight away. He'll have that respect. I know he's got a couple of good assistants around him with Glees as well. So I think they'll take a bit to get in the swing of things. I don't think it'll be instant success, but I think he'll do well.
Fair enough. And the last one before we get into your career: 3 dinner party guests, alive or dead. If you could get a really good 3 dinner party guests in to have a good night, who would they be and why?
I said Mike Tyson, just to quiz him about what he'd done in his career and how he grew up. Tough one, this. Plenty knocking around. Steve McQueen, just to see how he filmed
Yeah,
that.
fair enough.
Just for,
Yeah. Get his autograph, if nothing else.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah. I said Twigger.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
just
as your
'cause he was my
hero.
hero. That's why.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And hopefully he won't let you down. They always say, don't they? Don't meet your heroes.
Oh, meet your heroes. Yeah, yeah, I
But in
know.
rugby league, it's a great community.
It
I
is
don't
a
think
bit,
you'll have
yeah,
any problems.
yeah,
Okay, born in Wigan, Chris Hill. I think the fact that you sat on the wall at Wigan, probably Central Park, was it back in those
yeah,
days still?
yeah, yeah.
Wigan fan growing up, Chris?
Yeah, massive Wigan fan.
Yeah,
Like I said, my gran was a steward there for uh, what have been 15 years, something maybe a bit longer.
yeah,
Yeah, used to go down and watch them. Central Park. Used to go down Wembley when the era of winning every. I was even there when Sheffield Eagles beat us.
yeah. A great day for any Warrington fan. That would carry on.
Yeah, it's a great day for rugby league, though, wasn't it? You know what I
It
mean?
was.
Someone else winning it, something different.
Yeah.
It weren't for the journey back anyway. Yeah, massive Wigan fan growing up. Yeah, grateful for being sat on the wall and watching some great players like Henry Paul, people like that.
I mean, that era that you're talking about, like Dean Bell had been there at that time as well. He was a great pro. In your positions, the great Andy Platt, Kelvin Skerritt, we're talking
Cowie,
proper
Neil
players.
Cowie,
Yeah, Cowie, yeah.
Botica,
Yeah. Great
yeah,
goal kicker, Botica, one of the best.
unbelievable. Gary
Yeah,
Conley, yeah,
yeah.
you could be here all day naming.
You
Um,
could. But am I right in thinking, done a bit of research on you? Amateur, New Spring Lions, is that
yeah,
right?
yeah.
New
So
Spring
I
Lions?
started off at St Pat's.
Yeah,
So you play a year above. Well, the way it come about playing year above, basically my mum got time wrong for my age, so it was training at the old Robin Park. What was the old Robin Park then?
yeah,
She got the time wrong. So anyway, I've trained coming away. I think I was on about going to school or something the day after. What year? And one of the parents said, "Oh no, these are year, I don't know, like 3 or 4, whatever."
yeah,
And you're like, "Oh no!" So I'd gone to the wrong age group. So anyway, I stuck with it till I think it was about 15s, under 15s. Yeah, you play a year above, played a year above for a town team on a Saturday, then I played my own age on a Sunday town team. So I played where I grew up with like Joel Tompkins.
yeah.
Um, that was the age. So yeah, it was just by accident. I ended up at the wrong age. Well, it was my mum. Yeah, and then ended up at 15s. I moved over to New Springs. We were setting up a bit of a new team. A lot of my mates from school was going up. Yeah, it got a bit stagnant at parts. It was a bit cliquey. So I wanted just something different, new challenge, and just basically go and play with all my mates who was at school, as you do at that age. You sort of follow your mates, don't you?
You do?
Yeah, and I was at Wigan Academy, like not the scholarship, but the development, and then yeah, got let go from there, which obviously is hard when
Yeah,
a
yeah. Wigan
lot of
Pro.
your mates are again signed up there as well. But to be told you're no good, oh, not no good, sorry, we're not good enough, won't be big enough. So, and that was by one of my idols as well, Dean Bell. Dean Bell was the head of the academy then, so which it hurt me and it was hard. So I just wanted to get back to playing a bit of rugby and playing with my mates really. So I went up to New Springs and then went to Lee from there. It was a bit of a new setup then at Lee,
Yeah,
sort of the academy, and it was a bit like, oh, the lad who had not gone to Warrington, Saints, Wigan,
yeah.
sort of and joined up at Lee. So no, it was good.
Just on that, Chris, before we get to your debut at Lee and all, Chris, sorry, before we get to your debut at Lee, we have a lot of younger people watch us. One thing we're very proud on at Super League Row, we don't allow any language on any of our shows. We keep it nice and clean for the kids. So there will be some kids watching this. Never asked this of any other guests, but I'll ask it of you. Playing rugby league as a youngster, if there's kids out there now who go, are interested in rugby league, who are watching rugby league, but have never actually been a part of a local team before, just explain to them as a child, as a young man, what being a part of a rugby league team is all about and why they should go and do it.
Oh, it's massive. Not, I see it now with my lad play. My both lads used to play, but one still does. It's the social side of it as well. They don't have to be the greatest player in the world. I weren't great growing up. I was all right. Obviously, I was told I weren't good enough when I was at Wiggins. But that doesn't matter. It's the social side of it, and it does. I've seen it a lot of times, and lads who've retired now, my good mates, and they go into business and work and stuff like that. It resembles a lot of what you do after rugby. And a lot of people play semi-pro or just do it, like you say, play amateur at a weekend, and it resonates back into work with teamwork and your social skills as well. Like I said, from obviously lockdown and stuff. A lot of it's been hammered
Correct.
with social side of it and kids talking, and they're all right on the phones and over Snapchat or whatever it is on Xbox or PlayStation, but social side, face to face stuff, and it gets you used to all that again. And like I say, you don't have to be the greatest player in the world, but if you love rugby, just go and try it, and
Yeah.
it brings a lot out of you as well. It does.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go and give it a try, kids. That's from a man of the stature of Chris. Right, debut in Super League. I've got it down that you debuted in round 26 of the 2005 Super League season against Saints. Lee got battered 74
Hammered.
points to 8 in that game. But to be fair, you did lose to the grand final winners in Saints. They went on to beat Hull FC that year. That day on your debut, you came up against Nick Fozzard, Paul Anderson, and another good name in here, Lee Gilmore. He was no great pro, Lee Gilmore. Describe that to me. One, obviously making your debut, but coming up against seasoned. I mean, I think you were second row that day, but coming up against seasoned pros like that, how did you find that step up?
It was unreal. So obviously I played a few games in the 18s at Leigh. We had a couple of good years, and then I played one game at 21s, which I think was Hull away. And then he brought me into first team for the back end of the year just to get me used to it for the year after. Heath Cruikshank it was.
Yeah.
Who's another great bloke. Brought me in, and then I think we went down with a couple of injuries that week. He said, "Oh, I'm going to sit you on bench, share the games going. If you get 15, 20 minutes, if you get 10 minutes, it is what it is." And I was buzzing, but he put me on at half time. I think we were 40 odd down then. So it was basically just go and play. I had like Jamie Lyon, Longy. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was a wealth of experience. And I remember Fozzard, we kicked off to them. I still remember it now. And he just ran straight at me, knees up, first kick off at second half, boom, stars come out, he's like, yeah. But no, what an experience. What an unbelievable experience. And it learns you a lot. It does learn you a lot. And the step up, and you think, I've got to really massively improve now to be where these lot at St Helens are. And no, that was the start of my career.
Yeah. How old were you then? What were you then?
17.
You're 17. And of course, the following season, 2006, good season for you. You won the Northern Rail Cup that year, beating Hull KR 22-18, and you got to go on the under-18s Australia tour, I believe, that
Yeah.
season. Is that right?
Yeah, so we went under 18s, we went to France. Yeah, with Sam Burgess, we were on that. That's when I first met Sam, because Sam was
Yeah,
playing a year above himself.
yeah,
So he came with us. Not like you'd know which size of him, like. But yeah, there was me and a lad called Rob Draper, and we were the only two from Championship what got picked up. All the rest were obviously Super League lads. So yeah, we went to France. I played France, and then we played the Aussies.
right.
Uh, Aussie tour, but yeah, yeah, that was a baptism of fire. Israel Flow was the one who was playing for them then. But yeah, it was unbelievable, and yeah, like you said, that was the start of the England journey, and that's what
Yeah,
you like sort of hope for, and obviously I did a few more years in the Championship, and yeah, it got to a bit of a point where I thought, is it ever going to happen?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it did, didn't it? I mean, in terms of your performances on the field, you became, captaincies has followed you around over the years, but, you first were made captain at Lee in 2010. How did you feel that day when you got pulled aside and you were told, Chris, you're going to be the captain of Lee? Emotionally, for any player, there's certain points in your career that probably resonate. And again, that was probably another milestone to be given the honour of captaining the side. Talk us through that.
Yeah, it was mega. Like you said, just to captain, it doesn't matter what you say, if it's amateur or whatever team, to lead your troops out week in, week out when you go to battle with them. He's mega, and obviously to be told, I sort of like, Lee's like my second home, really. I moved over here when I was pretty young, like 17, 18. My wife's from this way in Lawton. Obviously, I was at Lee anyway, so I've lived this way now, well, 20 years, coming up to 20 years. So to be told the captain was pretty special because all my missus family are this way as well, so which was really nice. And yeah, it's always a massive honour, like you said, whether it's Lee in the championship or when I got captain of Warrington, they're all just as big honours.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, another Northern Rail Cup following in 2011. KR again, but this time more convincing, 42 points to 14. Sum up your time at Lee, if you can, for us.
Unbelievable. Like I said, I know everything to Lee. And I always mention in an interview of when lads are part time, and I know a few of our boys, and when I've been at Warrington and they get loaned out to low league clubs and League One or League or Championship, and so that's where you're made. That's where you're made as a rugby league player. I don't think I'd have got where I were without being at Lee for so many years. I was a massive late developer in everything, rugby league, body wise. And it's probably why I weren't just there when it was Wigan Academy. I think they were a lot more mature than me, a lot stronger than me at that time. I think of a late developer. And a lot of people are late developers. Look at Al Walmsley, you know what I mean? He was playing at his university, you know what I mean? People have got to be given time within the game, and I think we've lost a lot of that with the loss of the reserves.
Yeah.
For so many years. I know we're going to get it back now, but I think we've lost probably 8 to 10 years of talent through not having reserves, because the jump from 18s to first team is massive. You've got to be able to get them out to other clubs. So I give everything. I owe everything to Lee. What they've done for me and give me the opportunity when I told that I won't be good enough. A lot of people over the years have put a lot of time and effort into me from Lee, and I'm forever grateful. And no, they treated me really well. And then when I not when I wanted to leave, when I was to leave, obviously, I think they were short a little bit of money, and Warrington come in with a bit of a transfer fee. And that was a dream, and they were never, ever going to stand in my way. That's what I wanted to do. And yeah, I don't think I'd be the player I would be without so many National League One caps to my name, and going to Barrow on a Thursday night and Batley on a Sunday afternoon. And I think it makes you appreciate even more so what I have now, and makes me learn the game as well.
Superb. You scored a hat trick while you were there as well, didn't you? Oldham,
yeah.
Chris Hill scored a hat trick. What's all that about?
What is all that about? I think scored hat trick at Warrington against London.
I didn't get that. Did you get 2 hat tricks?
Yeah.
I forgot. I tell you what, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
That's really bad.
I think they're in Super League. It was Super League.
It would have been Super League. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, actually, as you're saying it now, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So a couple of hat tricks. What's again unbelievable? Getting nosebleeds in the line.
Can't get near line at the minute.
Absolutely, but no, great stuff. And yeah, of course, then Warrington came calling the end of 2011 after that Northern Rail Cup. Of course, you scored that day as well. Just quickly, as we do this transfer now into Warrington, I'm right in thinking that your final coach at Lee was Ian Millward.
Yeah.
And your first coach at Warrington would have been Tony Smith.
Yeah.
Well, we had Paul Rowley on, who also played under Millward and also played under Tony Smith. So very, very similar to Paul in that respect. 2 really good coaches. If you can, we'll take Millward first, and then we'll go to Tony Smith. What impact did those 2 men have on your career?
Oh, Basil were unbelievable. he gave me the opportunity really, and knew where I wanted to go, and knew the player in me. Basil was one of them coaches who, if he was on you, and at you all the time, he really liked you. He was one of them. He weren't doing it just to get you down and all tell you rubbish or whatever. If he were on you and he said you could improve, it was because he knew you could improve, and he were very much like that with myself. And again, I owe a lot to Baz Lee coming at Lee, and he was only there for a short time, but the time he did, no, was really good, and I really get on well with him, and still speak to him over text and that even then. And obviously, I think him and Smithy had a decent relationship, so I think we played them in a pre-season friendly, Warrington, on beginning of 2011 and 2010. I think we played them twice. So Smithy, I think, had me on my radar. But yeah, Smithy again, really good tactician. Love playing the mind games a little bit, which got the best out of players when we was there in 2012. It was unbelievable. We were just never quite got over. We always just seemed to die at the end, with the obviously grand final losses. But yeah, 2012 Challenge Cup final. Obviously, Smithy brought a lot of success to Warrington. 09, I think it was 10, 09, 10, and then 12.
That's right.
First one.
Absolutely.
So yeah, he was unbelievable again. Another one I owe a lot to, for bringing me over and having the faith in me to bring me across, and be a part of his squad.
Well, you were going. Let's be fair. You were about to fill really big shoes. Debut round 3, Huddersfield away that season, and you're lining up again alongside, should I say, the great Adrian Morley, Trent Waterhouse was in the team, Super Benny Westwood, Joel Mike Monaghan. Littered with, at that point in time, a really, really good squad at Warrington. You've already said there the 2012 Challenge Cup final, of course, went down in the grand final that year. How good a squad was that? And really, I mean, I'll ask you now. Of all the grand finals you played, I think it was 4 in total. Which one do you think probably you should have won?
I think we were in most of them. That 2012 side was unbelievable. Going back to when I made my debut, it made it so much easier for me coming in young. Obviously, experience with the National League, but nothing Super League wise. Apart from half a game against St Helens, all 5, you know what I mean? But lining up with Moz, Woody, Mickey Iron, people like Mark Monners, Bridger, Chris Bridge, Ryan Ack, you know what I mean? It just made it a whole lot easier for me, and the transitioning was all down to them, you know what I mean? You couldn't have better role model than Moz. One of my good mates now, still speak to him a lot. Great bloke, done a lot for me. Yeah, it just made it a lot easier. But yeah, going on to grand finals. I think the Wigan one when we were up at half time.
The one where Monaghan got injured just before half time. Warrington had that one, didn't they?
Yeah, I speak with that, and that it kills me to this day. Breezy was in England camp with us end of last year. Every time I see Breezy, it comes up. That's the one that got away, I think.
Yeah.
You speak with Wayne as well. He said they were lucky to claw that back. But yeah, that was the one that really hurt that one.
What happened there? I mean, obviously we were battering. I mean, Warrington were battering Wigan that day. First half, we went in at 16-6, but just before half time, of course, Joe Monaghan got a really bad knock, and it just seemed to burst the bubble.
Yeah, Monaghan went down, didn't he?
Yeah, the second half, we came out and of course Ratchford got an injury, if you remember. He was playing on one leg as well.
Yeah, Steph got injured. Is that the year Woody lost his testicle?
I think
yeah. That was that year. So I remember at one point, he had Brazy at fullback.
Yeah.
He turned like QE2 every time they kicked it behind him, which can't blame him. He weren't the fastest anyway, but he was good with balling and money. But yeah, that's last person he went at fullback, bringing that ball back. Yeah, and then I think at one point we had all forwards on pitch. I think we might have Gaz Carvelli back row or something like that, or it might have been me back row and Gaz, and we were just it it just got the better of us that half, and
Yeah.
I reckon we could have held on for 20 minutes. I don't reckon the 40 minutes was what really killed us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just we couldn't give any more. It was as simple as that. I think that's what really hurt us. We looked at ourselves, thought we were the better team. It was literally just ran out of steam.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Wigan, obviously 3 of the losses came to Wigan. And as you say, been in every one, 2016, 6-2, really tight affair, 2018, 4-12. We've been, all of those games, of course, you were captain for some of them. It's that period, it's always the laughing joke and it's always Warrington's year, but like, they should have got at least one of them, shouldn't they?
at least,
At least one.
if not two.
Yeah.
At least. With the team we had, and I was like, I don't know, was I watching? It might have been football. It was actually City last night, and commentator Alan McCoy said, "There's good teams, which we were, but to be a champion team, you got to do it year in, year out. A bit like St Helens have. We were a great team, Warrington. There were no doubt about that. We won trophies. We obviously won Challenge Cups. Obviously, you lost them, but we just that little bit off being a great team. It could have been such a big part of Warrington's history. I think we could have took a couple of them out, but it's not to be. But you've got to be in them to win them. It's as simple as that.
You do, and like I say, I mean, it was a golden era, really, that for Warrington. I mean, I remember, the Wilderspool days. I mean, I always say the kids who discovered rugby league in Warrington at that time and never had it so good in terms of, we were competing at last. And I think that's the thing, is that as a rugby league player, you want to be competing. When those honours are being given out at the end of the year, you can only be one winner. But if you're playing for a side that is in finals, that's giving yourself that opportunity to win, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Of course it is, yeah. And I think at one stage, Warrington was, after the 09, and they was a victim of their own success. Sometimes we found, we're not going to Wembley this year. You know what I mean? You can't do it every year. It's as simple as that.
No.
But we were always thereabouts. But yeah, we was always the bridesmaid, never the bride, which hurts me to this day.
Yeah, well, I don't want to see you in a bridesmaid dress, mate. I have to say. So we'll leave that. We'll leave that one there. Just quickly though, going back, there's heroic moments in rugby league. You mentioned Sam Burgess, of course. The final at Souths would be one. Remember Andy Favell, as a Wigan supporter with the bandage round his nose, and all of that. 2012 Leeds Challenge Cup final, Brett Hodgson got completely cleaned out. I mean, he'd be off now with protocols today. He wouldn't play. It's simple as that. Got off the floor and ended up winning the Lance Todd. How big a performance that day was, Brett Hodgson?
That was unbelievable. And I was looking at me 13, I thought before, and Joe always comes in, whether he could even play at 6 or 7 if you had to have him. You know what I mean? He were unbelievable for the size of him as well.
Yeah,
he was tiny. I don't think you realise how tiny he was till you actually met him. But the skill and the awareness and the timing and knowing where to be on a rugby league field I've never seen it like it. It was unbelievable.
He was a brilliant. I mean, and we see it all the time now. The run on the arch and being in the right place at the right time. He did that in his sleep, didn't
he? Yeah, you couldn't if you went for him and jammed him on it, he'd bait you on a 3-on-2 on a sweet right back 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
He were unbelievable at that. Every time we knew he got in his hands with a 3-on-2, he'd score.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Shame it didn't work out for him at Hull FC. I think, I think he's got a lot to give the game, Brett Hodgson, with his experience. You mentioned Lee Breers very quickly. I asked this of Paul Rowley as well. You mentioned Lee. Incredible what he's doing in his coaching career at the moment. How do you see his coaching career end up? Do you think he could potentially stay in the NRL and maybe crack it over there, or would you expect to see Lee Breers back in the UK coaching a Super League team in the future?
Yeah, if you knew Breezy, I know him really well, and you'd say he was a home bird. But when I'm speaking to him, when he come over for the England camp, he's loving it over there. He is. Yeah. He's probably new lease of life as well. Obviously, going over to Australia. A lot of rugby players, but not a lot of fans would know him, and to put his own stamp on it, because he was good when he was at our place. He was good at Warren. He was really good at Warrington. But he's developed a lot over the time. We could just see in them 3 or 4 weeks. I had him at England. The way he's come on, the way he approaches it, the way he delivers it. Um, yeah, he's obviously thriving over there.
Yeah.
Obviously in a great club like Brisbane, who wouldn't? And no, he's really enjoying it. So no, I'm buzzing for him, and I hope he makes a massive success of it over there. And if not, come over here and coach. Wherever he goes, he'll be a great success.
What about yourself? I mean, obviously, I know you've got your plumbing business, Chris, but I mean, Father Time is ticking. This is going to be your 19th season. I think you probably there's a party that probably wants that 20th as well. Staying in the game when you retire from the game or
Um,
not?
yeah, I'm not so sure.
Yeah,
I'll wait and see. I'll never say never. It's
yeah,
not something I've looked into. I mean, I've done it. I actually did a bit of coaching with the academy on Monday night, which I really enjoyed.
yeah,
Um, a lot of it's time with me, as I say, with the plumbing, with my
yeah,
plumbing. So with my 5 kids, it's pretty. Mrs. doesn't see me at best of times, so which is probably a good thing for her in way. But no, it's something I wouldn't mind doing. I wouldn't mind going into some maybe the player welfare side of it.
yeah,
Maybe working with the kids' educational side because it's the way it's not always a bed of roses, is it?
no,
The way you come through, you could be dropped back at a drop of an hat. You could get a serious ACL injury, you not play again. And I've sort of took it upon myself to go and do my plumbing stuff. And
yeah,
I mean, we say it's a full-time job, rugby, and if like finish for 2, 3, you know what I mean. So you've got a lot of
yeah,
time at evenings and that where you can do something. So well paid, so you've got no money. Obviously, not everyone's well paid, but
mm,
for the average Joe is. Um, so yeah, you always have some, and I won't mind getting the educational. I know there's a lot goes into it now with the rugby league cares or whether
yeah,
I do something like that and push it that way. But coaching wise, we'll see. If something comes along, I'll never just turn it down. I'll see what options I've got. Even when the boots get hung up.
yeah. I mean, Dan Sargent's obviously has gone into that area. We had Dan on, and he talked about the highs and the lows. So like you're talking there about your grand final losses, the one that got away. I mean, and this is why we interview the way we do, because this is what fans want to know. The highs are euphoric, but the lows, how do you cope? I mean, you're a big, I mean, you're Chris Hill, you're a prop forward, you're a big, you're big. You wouldn't want to meet you wouldn't want to meet you in a dark alley. Let's be absolutely honest. I'm sure you're lovely, but you know what I mean. You wouldn't want to meet Chris Hill in a dark alley. So again, I think it's important. You talk about kids and you talk about um, the mental side of life, not just in sport. What could talk us through how you've handled that and any lessons you could give in terms of handling those lows of life?
It has. It's been hard. Obviously the World Cup final, such
Yeah,
2017. Yeah, obviously the semi-final World Cup 2013. You know what I mean? The
yeah,
semi-final they should because they're usually the end of the year. Obviously the grand finals are so you've got a lot of time to think about it over time off, then into pre-season, and it does it great on you, and it does it. I remember, like I said, that the Wigan one, the World Cup one hit me hard over in Oz. They take a long time to get. I don't know if you ever get over them till you sit there and actually look at your career, what you've done when you retire, and be proud of what I've done and what I've achieved. I'm not one of them who looks back on what I've done yet. I just want to take every day at a time and enjoy it. But the other laws, it probably if you got my missus and missus, if my missus were sat here, it affects them just as much.
yeah,
It affects my kids' lives because you don't want to go out and about. You've got people asking you questions all the time when you're having your dinner. You know what I mean? They are the laws of the laws, but the highs, do they take over the laws? Probably sometimes, yeah. And that's just sport. I've learned over my career. There is more to life than rugby league. When you've got kids, that probably shows a little bit more. Stop taking everything to heart a little bit. I have low, but it did take me. I reckon it took me to like say the World Cup, 2017, to realise that because it's a long off season. when you don't
Yeah.
get a win like that. It's a long off season till you start playing rugby league again. And yeah, I think my missus would be best probably answering that because it makes it hard work for her.
I mean, for me, I mean, I love the game. I think what you guys do to give us 80 minutes of joy, because it is. I mean, it's a joyous sport, it's a joyous community, and I'll take me out off to each and every one of you, no matter who you play for. You just happen to play for my team for the lion's share of your career. But this bit about it is, you say rugby league's not the most important thing, but to the players and the fans for that 80 minutes, it takes over emotionally and everything else. And we're talking about the mental side of the game. I think what's interesting when you speak to the pros, and again, this is why I do this series, is that fans need to realise exactly the impact it has, because social media era, all the rest of it. In the stadium, emotions are high. You can probably live with that to a degree, but it's on the street, it's on social media, and all the rest of it. As a professional, yeah, I pay me money, so I can have an opinion. But the last thing I would do is, send you a message saying, Chris, you're this, you're that, you're the other. And I'm sure you've had them over your career. So, as a pro, could you sum up to those people who are keyboard warriors the impact that actually has, and why they shouldn't really do it?
Yeah, with myself, I'm not a massive social media fan anyway.
Yeah,
I'll do a lot for my plumbing and whatnot for me after rugby. I'm not a massive one of putting myself. I'm not. That's just not me. I don't do talking to cameras and stuff like that. I'm not so much like that, and that's probably the era I was brought up with, really. But yeah, to see it, I've learned over my career, probably early doors. Um, it would affect you. You think about it slowly, slowly but surely got away from that. A lot of them who have the opinion and the keyboard warriors have never put a pair of boots on in their lives, never even probably trained. You know what I mean? So you've got to think of it like that. Again, it goes back. My lad, my eldest lad, now 15, he probably sees it on social media. It's the way it affects him.
yeah,
My mate just gets riled up about it. And I said, listen,
yeah,
look, you're going to get people with opinions who don't like you. You get it in street, you know what I mean? You just got to sort of take it on chin because probably 9 out of 10 of them want to be in your shoes
yeah.
and want to do what I'm doing. So,
But I mean, the bad thing is, it hasn't even. I mean, it's like Warrington under Darrell Powell. I mean, we're going to get to you in a minute in Huddersfield last season. Probably parallels there as well in terms of the season you guys had last year. It does the opposite. It doesn't. Somebody giving you the players a load of grief, it's going to put more pressure on, as opposed to relieve the pressure for you to go out on the field and actually go, come on, let's have another crack here. So I've never understood why people, yeah, the 80 minutes again, emotions are high, but as you say, between games, really, the fans have for me, a duty of care to build the players back up again for the following
you'll
week.
probably find most of them are not probably true fans.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? True fans, like you say, stick with the team.
Yeah,
And that's the great thing at Huddersfield. There's not, obviously, there's not the fan base they have at Warrington. We all know that.
yeah,
But it's a real community. It's a real family club up there. I found different to Warrington. Um, you don't get a lot of that,
no,
which is now obviously after the season we had. Obviously, you're always going to get a few, but I think the true fans they are really good fans up there. And yeah, the boys really appreciate that as well.
we love Huddersfield on Super League Raw, mate. Absolutely love him, and we feel, especially Ken Davey and it deserves so much more. They've had entertaining teams over the years. I always remember when we won the League Leader Shield and they brought that banner up, congratulations Warrington, which was a touch of class, if you remember that, when we won the League Leader Shield
Yeah,
back in the day. They've tried everything, haven't they, to grow the fan base? Absolutely everything. I mean, it's mad, isn't it? That they can
crazy.
fill it the Huddersfield Town football, which I find completely dull and boring. But for some reason, they can't get a double-figure digit crowd for the
No,
rugby.
they just can't grab the youth. Whether it's obviously the communities around there just not engaging. Obviously, I've only been there a couple of years, or the club are not engaging in the communities, which I know they're trying to do a lot better now, bringing kids in and whatnot. End of the day, people say, "Oh, you get free tickets away all the time," but at the end of the day, it's still a business, and you've still got to make some kind of money. Obviously, the wages they're paying out, obviously with the stadium and stuff like that. When, like I say, without Ken, there'd be no club. But yeah, it's a great club, honestly. It's a fantastic club, and and what they do for us. And like I said, we're going back. The fans are unbelievable.
And you've had the opportunity by going to Huddersfield to play with two players that I think have been brilliant professionals over the career, Leroy Cudjoe and Jermaine McGilvray. Jermaine obviously leaving at the end of last season. They've been outstanding servants, haven't they, for that team?
Unbelievable, and I'll throw Michael Lawrence in there as well.
Yeah,
Bruno, my
yeah.
one of that. He
Well, Bradford, didn't he? Did he go Bradford?
He's
Right.
at Bradford now, yeah, still at Bradford.
Yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable. Three absolute stalwarts, and Leroy seems to be getting better with age, and all three of them unreal. And like I said, that's what Huddersfield have been about. Three proper pros like that. I remember playing Jez when he was at Batley. To go and see him do it, and he's still doing it now at Wakefield. He's what an unbelievable player, and international as well. He was untouchable. But yeah, there were three. They're three of the highlights of going playing over at Huddersfield. It's nice to get to play with them three.
Absolutely. Just want to quickly finish off the England bit, then we'll get a bit more into Huddersfield to finish us off before we do your third team. I just want to go back to obviously the Suncorp game at Australia. I mean, 4 World Cups I think you played in, mate, and sorry, 3 World Cups.
3 World Cups.
Three World Cups. Yeah. 2013. Remember it well. Wembley. I mean, the team was a who's who. But obviously, they had the Burgesses in that side. You say it was a who's who. We had a great squad. It was a nail biting semi. It was a cry. I mean, the result was bad, but what a game! I mean, is that probably one of the on the international stage? Or I think I'm going to have a guess here. Are those the two ones that airs on the back of your head that you're a part of them? Those two, New Zealand, Suncorp, Australia.
I'd say, I mean, biggest one.
Go on.
Is the semi-final in New Zealand against Tonga.
Right. Okay.
2017 semi-final.
Right, okay. Right.
That was. I've never heard anything like that in my life. That was unbelievable.
In terms of atmosphere.
Oh, you could not hear a person 5 yards away from you.
Wow.
The whole game. Wow. My missus and kids flew out for that. They flew into Australia and flew over to New Zealand and got that game. And they were sat about 3 rows back from where the bench was. And she didn't see one bit of the game. There was a bloke in front of her with a big flag the whole game, that's what it was. And it was like every stoppage of play, there was music on, they were up singing. Honestly, it was electric. I've never experienced anything like that. Even Old Trafford, it was unbelievable.
Fantastic. Well, I stand corrected, but no, happy days. And speaking of Tonga, brilliant win, brilliant series win in the winter just gone. We always do ourselves down. Really solid performance from the England team going in there. But I think for me, again, one eye on the future. It was brilliant to see the emergence on the international stage of Mikey Lewis and Matty Ashton. I thought it was great to see them in that Tonga series. You're coming to the end of your career. In the next, I don't know, 10. I mean, we've got this new 10-year plan. Obviously, there's some more things going on in the background. But do you see enough talent coming through, because what Wellesby, etc., that we could potentially at some point get over the line in one of these big comps?
I think it's coming, yeah. I think it's with what we've got now, the core. Like I said, Wellesby's still young, Matty Lees, people like that who still have got a wealth of experience at that level and still going to be able to, obviously like me, Tom Burgess go. There's still a lot there, and I can see a massive future. I just think sometimes the international scene has been put down negative, and like maybe won 3-0 and it's still not good enough. You know what I mean? If we lost 3-0, they've been worst side. So you can't really win sometimes. I just don't think we're pushing enough into our international game over the last few. Since I've been a part of it, it's best part of your life with the lads. It's unbelievable, and we should big it up a little bit more and try and get the mid-season test a bit more of a spectacle. I think it'd be great, and there's plenty of talent coming through, and obviously with Wayne in charge, I think the next few years will be really good.
He's a top coach. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say anything negative about Sean Wayne, the coach. He's, by all accounts, he's massive, isn't he? In terms of
he's unbelievable, mate. I wish I speak with him still regular now. We got on really well. I've always said to him, I wish you'd met him earlier in my career. Right. I think he's done a lot for me and made me a lot better player. But yeah,
Just goes to show why Wigan have been so successful with people like that in the club over the years, as much as that hurts me to say. Right, let's get into Huddersfield. Of course, I actually, do you know what? There's a part of me, Chris, that thought you'd end up back at Leeds to end your career. I always thought Chris Hill would end up back at Leeds, but hey ho, you go over to Huddersfield. And I'd expect that when you had that discussion to go to Huddersfield, not only was it for what you could deliver on the field, but I'd expect as part of those discussions, your role as a leader within that group would have been one of the big reasons as well that they brought you to Huddersfield. Would I be
yeah.
right?
When I signed at Warrington in 2011,
Yeah.
Huddersfield was the other team that wanted to take me up. So there's always been interest within Huddersfield. I've always thought it's a really good club, and it is from being there now for the last 3 years. But yeah, it was obviously I knew Jez from International McGilvery, and he actually said we was actually playing him at Halliwell Jones, and I tackled him, and he knew he was off contract at the end of that year, and he went, "Do you fancy coming over to Huddersfield at the end of the year?" And this was it.
On the pitch.
It was it. And then he just wandered back to his wing, and I'm like, what's he going on about here? Anyway, I called him after, and he went, "Oh yeah, they're keen on you." So yeah, as soon as I knew that, I got straight onto my agent. I knew Watto anyway from Lee.
Yeah.
So he was a big driving force in me going over. Played with Watto. Yeah, so once that discussion happened, and no, it was an easy sell really.
Why did you leave Warrington, Chris, if you don't mind me saying? Was it that you just needed a new challenge, or was something
Yeah,
going
but
on
I
there?
need a new challenge, and a new. Personally, I don't think I'd have got on with Powley.
Right,
Uh,
okay.
I don't think would have been the right fit after speaking with him. Yeah, and at the end of the day, yeah, I'd rather people just tell me the truth, be upfront with me. I'm not one to shy away. If he didn't want me, I'd rather just say. I had this discussion with him regarding how many years, and obviously Huddersfield had offered me 2, and they were only offering me 1 year at Warrington, which he had no issue with at all. Then that leaves it in my hands. But then he come up with like something. He don't sign lads over a certain age for 2 years, but then went on to sign someone else who was over that age for 2 years. You know what I mean? So I knew it didn't fit.
Yeah.
I'd rather him just say, "Listen, you're only in 1 year plan,"
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then that decision's on me then.
Yeah.
So yeah, so when I had a discussion, and I didn't have many, I had one, and I knew straight away that it wouldn't have been for me, and I needed something new anyway. I've been there 10 years, I had my testimonial, and like I said, Warrington's still a massive part of me. My life, my kids' lives, my girls still have Wolfies in the bed. You know what I mean? So they're always going to be a massive part of me, and more like, and there'll probably be a team I'll go and watch when I retire. I'll go and stand on in South Stand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've no hard feelings at all towards Warrington. I loved every minute of it, and they give me everything. They give me my career.
Mate, and as a Warrington fan, I don't make any hiding of the fact that I'm a Warrington fan when I do the shows. And you say that there in your trust me, there's a lot of Warrington fans who'll be watching this. There's a lot of love for Chris Hill at Warrington and what you brought to the club over those periods. Obviously, 2022, very nearly, 22 again. Chris McQueen was colossal that season, to name but one. 2022 Challenge Cup final. I'm just going to say it as it is. If Chris Hill doesn't get injured, the Huddersfield win.
I've been told that a few times. Doesn't make it any easier, and
No.
I don't know. I'd like to think I could input, yeah.
Yeah,
Whether we'd have won, I don't know. I think we should have won anyway.
I do.
I do. I think the best side lost.
Yeah,
In that just one play at the end.
yeah,
But yeah, I think we were the better side by a long way. Wigan, but again, Wigan, they stick into it, don't they?
yeah.
They the 80th minute. They didn't go away. They chipped away. They got the one up half opportunity, and they bounced for a ball, and they took it. If I stay on, I want to be not wing and all that. I want to be getting that ball, but I'd like to think I made more impact. That was one of my tough days. That's when you speak about down days. That was
Tough, yeah.
one of them. Yeah, that was really, because I had a good friend who physio Rachel, who come from Warrington, who come up to Huddersfield, who I'm good friends with anyway. But obviously she was the physio, and then for her to tell me I couldn't go back on, I just thought it was cramp. I thought I'd get over it. Obviously, it's 25 minutes in, but I sort of tweaked it a little bit week before against Toulouse, just ever so slightly. Trained all week, fine. Did team run, felt it a little bit, but nothing to keep me out. And then I snapped it in two. But yeah, that was tough. To watch the boys, especially the way we lost.
Yeah,
And
77th minute, wasn't it?
and the way we played, thought we deserved it.
No, you did. I mean, I was in Cornwall at the time, and I was watching. I was glued to it. And I mean, Huddersfield that day were on fire. Wigan got away one, but it goes back to what you said earlier on. Great teams find a way. They just stuck at it and just pick you off at the end. But yeah, it could have been a great year for you that. And of course, did well in Super League that year. And then of course we come to last year, and the simple question, I'll ask you that in a minute. I mean, before a ball was kicked last year, on our prediction, we always predict at the start of the season. We've just predicted again for this season. I had you top three, and I had you going back to Wembley to revenge your loss. I thought Huddersfield, I think I saw, I can't remember what the odds were. It was something stupid, like 16-1 for the Challenge Cup. And I'd seen who you'd sign, and I thought, that's going to be niggling at him. I just thought, you know what, I fancy him you've got to lose one to win one. I think they'll go back and do it. What happened last year, Chris? Because on paper, you should have been incredibly competitive, but at no point did you get any momentum.
No, I think a few boys and got wrapped up on the year before how well we played, but it doesn't materialise. No games won on paper.
No.
You know what I mean? And I think as a club we got wrapped up with what we did the year before. So the Challenge Cup and that. We just didn't have I don't think we ever had a steady 6, 7, 1, and 9. It was too chop changed. I know T.O. picked up a lot of injuries throughout that year, and we just could not get no momentum at all. Something I can't put my finger on. But you have years like that. It weren't for lack of trying with the boys. Obviously, the more defeats you have, the harder you try sometimes, and the harder you try, it's a vicious circle, and you make more mistakes. But we've learned a lot of lessons from last year. I think a few of the boys weren't fit. Jake weren't fit. If you ask Jake, Connor, he weren't fit. Never were fit. He was always fighting with fitness with his knee. But he's had a good pre-season, and this year it's not looked no further than Lee Friday. Simple as that. Let's just tick them off one by one.
And the mad thing was, it was there. I mean, you didn't show it a lot, but let's not forget, last year you picked Catalan off home and away, didn't you? So there was glimpses, wasn't there? There was glimpses.
Yeah, there's glimpses of what we could do. There's no consistency with it. I think we were the only team to beat them home and away.
Yeah.
And then they end up in a grand final. But there was just no consistency towards it, and we've got to learn a massive lesson from that.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I don't know what your view on this, but we spoke a lot about were there too many cooks, in the fact that you got Connor who's off the cuff, you got Tui that's off the cuff, you had Pricey still there. I thought Ollie Russell as well had a good year, stepping in the halves, and he did a job. From the outside looking in, there just seemed to be no fluidity in that group for me. Whereas,
we never got an even balance of someone directing and someone off, and to play off the cuff, you've got to be on the front foot. And a lot of last year we played off the back foot. We could never really get enough. So then your Tuis and your Jake Connors don't really get into the game. No. And if they do, they're trying to make it up as they go, which they're trying harder. Like I said before, they're trying just as hard, but not in the way we should be.
Yeah.
It come down to everyone of that. We all played a part in that, all trying too hard, all making mistakes. Jake and Tui would have won us games single-handed last year. But like I said, we just weren't consistent enough in what we did.
Yeah, that day at Leeds, wasn't it? That was a bad day. Awful. Leeds.
Awful.
It was a shock.
You get games like that, you just got to learn from them. They're the down days, yeah.
Can't rewrite history. It is what it is. Obviously, going into 2024, Ian Watson seems to be, again, a lot of pressure on the outside looking in. A lot of people questioning his strategy. I've heard people say it's rugby league by numbers, all of that. You've worked with him now for a couple of seasons. Ian Watson, the coach, from the inside of the camp, what's Watto like?
Good, very intense, very rugby orientated. That's his life. If you ask him, that's his life. I think if you ask his missus, it's even worse. Yeah, he takes a lot of defeats to heart, which he will do, and he may learn over his career that. But yeah, that's just the way he is. That's the way he is. That's the way he coaches. He wears that on his sleeve. But very good tactical wise. Puts everything into it. There's no stone unturned with Watto. No, he's relentless with videos, plays, training. And I love that. I love that, the detail he goes into, and that's what you're going to be to be a top coach.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can sort of turn it around for him this year and show how good he actually is.
I mean, we thought that 2023 was perhaps one of the best Super League seasons ever, because obviously last round 26, 27, whatever it is, you know, 3 teams could have won the Shield. We didn't know who was going to be in the playoffs. I mean, fair play to Wakey. Wakey battled back and very nearly clung on. Hopefully 2024 is going to be just as good, if not more competitive. I mean, you know, I've been talking a lot about back rows. I mean, I know you played back row before. You look at the back rows across the league. I think we've had areas where we've had fullbacks, we've had hookers, but I look at the 11, 12, 13s of most clubs this year. I don't think it's ever been in a better place in terms of the back row this year.
No, the strike's unbelievable, isn't it? The
Yeah,
strike's unbelievable.
yeah,
And that's what you want. You want it across the board. You want it competitive across the board. And like I say, in my Super League career, each year has got faster,
yeah,
stronger, more competitive. And that's what we need as a sport. And we need people like yourselves and other podcasts or Sky and BBC to broadcast how actually good it is.
absolutely. Best sport in the world.
People who are negative towards it, but then still go and watch it a weekend. Don't bother then.
No,
Like,
it's the great Chris. Chris, it's the greatest sport. There's no other spectator. I mean, as a spectator, for me, there's no other spectator sport. I thought the Russell Crowe NRL advert, I don't know if you've seen that yet, is absolutely outstanding. You know, he's selling it to the Americans over NFL. Honestly, go and watch that on YouTube. It's incredible if you've not already. It's the best sport played by, for me personally, the best athletes. I mean, what you guys put your bodies through, it's just incredible. Incredible athletes, brilliant community. It's everything about rugby league. It should be on the biggest pedestal ever. And you're right. All of us need to start to sell it, not criticize it.
100%, 100%, and that starts with the amateur game all the way through to international. We should be joyful of what rugby league brings. It brings not just lads together; it brings families together. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Within, if there's something wrong, if there's something good, everything the rugby league community comes together. And
yeah,
so sad it is with Rob and what Rob Burrow's going through. And I played with Rob. That's the highest thing. You know what I mean? And the way everyone's come together,
yeah.
and it doesn't matter if then someone who amateur who goes through something like that. The community comes together.
Yeah.
And that
But
needs to be expressed more.
one of the privileges of doing what I'm doing now with Super League Raw is that, you know, I'm meeting more and more people outside of my own team. And, you know, we talked about Steph, Steph Sale of Lee. I've created, in the last 3 years, I've created bonds and ties with people from other clubs that I've never known. And at the heart of those friendships is rugby league. That's
Yeah.
what it is. It's a passion for this game.
Talking to anyone in the street, and I've met people on holiday who are Cast fans and Hull fans who don't particularly like me at times when they're there. But we'll sit down and have a coffee or a beer over rugby league and have a chin wag about their experiences and where they've been and what amateur club they've followed. And it brings people together.
Spot on. Last question on Huddersfield before you do your 13. So it's 2024. You talked about organisation, some brilliant signings. Adam Swift last year for Hull FC. I think he went something like 7, 9, maybe even double digits games where he scored a try in every game. I think that's an exceptional signing. Wallace, I'm amazed that Castleford let Wallace go. That was one of the biggest surprises of the off-season, that they've allowed Wallace to leave. You obviously got Deakin, Salabio, Murchie, a great signing. You'll obviously Andre Sabelio, second row. But you talked about organisation in the halves last season. How big is Adam Clune going to be? What have you seen in training? Do you think that he's going to bring that missing link that wasn't there in the halves last year?
Well, yeah, obviously, organisational wise, he's going to be a big part of it. But
Yeah,
so we've got some great signs with Merch,
yeah,
Clooney, Swifty. I think it's unbelievable. Like I said, Wallace is another good. He's raw. He is
yeah,
raw. Raw Super League play. With a lot of coaching. think he could be a really good player, a really good winger, if not good Super League international. You know what I mean? He's that good. He's strong. He's quick. Um, but I think go back to some of the lads we have. Like two is a lot fitter this year.
Yeah,
Jake Connor is over his injuries. I mean, so if you can get them clicking, but Clooney, yeah, he's on the ball. Another big rugby league fan in general. He knows everything about rugby league. Knows
yeah,
all the players. He's going to be good. But we've got to be there to give him the platform to do that. It's as simple as that.
absolutely. And that Wallace one, I mean, did you scratch your head on that? Okay, are you amazed Cass let that lad go?
Yeah, I heard there was a bit of interest for him, but I knew I don't know, if he had a year or two left. I'm not so sure. So whether I thought it would have been for the end of next year or end of this year. But yeah, I'm amazed at that. Yeah, but all the better for us.
And you've just given a massive rap, for somebody like yourself. I mean, you because you've been in and around the international game, you can probably spot players who you think will go on to that level. So if Elliot's watching, wow, there you go. Chris has just said. And speaking actually of I said I'd do this actually, Chris. I talked about influences in the game when I was with Joe Philbin, who's one of his biggest influences in the game. And do you know who he said?
No, go on.
Chris Hill.
All right. Is that off the
Joe.
field or on the field?
No, he did. He said that he looked up to you in his early years at Warrington, and he said you, in the same way that you spoke about people in your career who have been there for you, who have given you the learnings, the lessons. He said you.
Right, which is good. I'm good friends with Joe,
Yeah,
so I don't see it. We're really good mates. But yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to when he was coming through. I knew there was something about him when he was coming through with the dedication. I don't know whether he went through it with you on this podcast. He had a bit of a kick up the backside when he went to Bradford on loan.
he
And I
did.
think
Yeah,
that's a shining light. I've had a few chats with him regarding that, and I always come back to that. And he knew then, no disrespect to Bradford, that he didn't want to be playing sort of that level. And you know what I mean, when you're at Warrington and you're in the limelight, that's where he wanted to be, and it was sort of the kick up the backside that he needed. And like fair play, he come back down and knuckle down and played international. So if I could help that little bit, 1%, I was more than happy to do it.
well, he mentioned it, and I think in the same spirit, Fenton Rogers, Hugo Salabio coming to Huddersfield this year, the under Chris Hill's wing. Do you see
Yeah,
that as part of your role?
yeah, definitely. Then that's what you want to do. I want to see them boys go on and have good Super League careers and good friends with Fenny. I think I might play against his dad, Wes, at some point. That's when you know you're getting old. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, he's a good lad, Fenny. He'll be thereabouts this year. He's again done his apprenticeship at Bradford, and I spoke to him about that. Sometimes you're kicking stones and going, why am I going back there? Or I think he's been at Cup Dewsbury. I think he had a few games there and said, mate, you've got to do it. It's your apprenticeship. You'll learn a lot about yourself and a lot about rugby league in them games. And he has and come back bigger and stronger this year. So now I'm looking forward to a big year from him.
Fantastic. Right, last word for Huddersfield fans who are watching this. We're just days away from you going to Leigh. This won't be. This is going to go out after the League game, so not sure if you're playing or not. There's rumours that you might not be ready for round one, maybe round two. But for your Huddersfield Giants fans who had a pretty torrid year last year, from Chris Hill to them, what should they expect from Huddersfield Giants this season?
A different Huddersfield Giants compared to last year. Yeah, definitely. Just stick with us. Enjoy the ride. There's going to be ups and downs all year. It's rugby league, isn't it? But yeah, trust me, the boys they'll be ready and firing. Hopefully with a win Friday, and we'll take it week by week. There's no trophies won at this time of year, but no, we'll be building.
You certainly know a lot more. I think both teams will probably know a lot more about themselves. I think personally that's the game of Friday. I know that Leeds and Salford is the main game on Sky, but that's the one I'm watching. I think it'll be a belting game between you and Leigh. Right, Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure. This I did say we go out. We always go out with a top 13. That's how we end the in conversations. So let's do it. The Chris Hill 1 to 13. Chris, you're captain. You're number 8. That's done. You're going to lead this team out. Who are you going into battle with? Let's start at full back. Who have you picked and why?
Well, again, we've had the discussion, haven't we, with Odjo, and I actually wrote him down, Brett. I think just pips in, just Sam Tompkins. Grew up with Sam, obviously playing with her Joel. I think unbelievable as a leader as well. He's been captain of me at England and great bloke. But what he could do on a rugby league field again, knowing the game, he was unbelievable.
Signed off a game too early. That try against Saints was, I mean, that'll
Oh,
just live in folklore, won't it? That
yeah,
was Sam Tompkins of old, wasn't it?
yeah, and that's probably I'm good friends with Mike McMeekin. So obviously with the grand final last year, I probably lent a little bit more towards them just to get his fairy tale. And again, we speak about it again, Wigan with them.
Yeah.
But
Marshall as well. Did it to you, did it to them. You know, he's had a good 2
yeah,
years, hasn't he,
yeah,
Marshall? Hasn't he? He's had a
yeah.
good 2 years. Right, let's get on to the wings. Who's your 2 and number 5? Who's your 2
I've got
wingers?
Joe Manon.
Had to be, didn't it, really?
Had to be
He was a freak, wasn't he? A
the way he
freak,
finished, mate.
wasn't
The way he finished, the way positional wise, it's a finish. He was unbelievable. And then on the opposite side, gone for a bit of pace. Tommy Makinson, I think he
class.
was
I mean,
unbelievable.
one of my favourite rugby league players, Tommy Makinson. I think he's a class player.
Yeah, whereas heart and soul on his, yeah, he's unbeliable.
Were you on the field that day when we played Widnes and they thought they'd had us at the AJ and HJ and Mono went in at the death?
Yeah,
On the
yeah, on
yeah,
yeah.
what a day that was.
Yeah, yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Right in the centres, who have you got?
Centers, I've gone with one who've been playing at Huddersfield with Kevin Aguama. I think I underestimated him throughout his career. Obviously, watching him at Saints, playing against him at Saints, but playing with him, he's unbelievable. The athleticism he's got, I don't know, he's 34, maybe 35, you know what I mean? And he's still in peak condition. And yeah, I think he's been a big signing for Huddersfield. I think he's underestimated, Kev. And then the other centre I've gone with Ryan Atkins. I think Atkins on his days was unplayable.
Yeah, I always remember that length of the field again against Widnes at the Etihad. I think it was Magic Weekend. Oh no, actually no, it wasn't. It wasn't a length of the field try. I don't know if you remember this. That Widnes game, Widnes got away. Widnes got away on a break, and Atkins, whoever it was, must have had a 10, 15 metre head start on Atkins, and he pulled them down by the collar about 10 metres out.
He won games single-handedly for us at times, Atkins, and he was in a centre. And for a centre to do that, it takes from doing.
Yeah. Well, he's on. I believe he's coming on to In Conversation later in the year. He's Ryan. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that one when we interview him. Right, who's your 2 halfbacks?
I've gone at 6, Johnny Lomax. Unbelievable. International. I think he's cracked it international.
Should he have been Man of Steel, Chris?
Yeah.
In his career?
Yeah, definitely. At least once. Yeah. At least once. The competitiveness of him, the way he takes it to the line, he gets whacked, he just puts his body on the line. And then I've gone for 7, probably a bit of left field. Some skill was unbelievable. Rangi Chase, played with England. He was different. He is different. He's a different human being. Everyone knows that. Good bloke, great bloke, but the skill level of him, I've never seen it like it, ever.
That will surprise many, I think, who are watching this. But you know, like I say, it's your team. But yeah, fair play. Right, you're number 8. So who you? Let's go. Let's do the opposite prop. Who's 10?
Well, I'd have put Jammer at 8 instead of me. I had Jammer down at 8. James Gray. I'd have gone Big Mozza, Adrian Morley. I think obviously I played with him at Warrington, and he would probably coming to a little bit back end, obviously. And then I know he went Salford. But watching him over his career, mate, and being able to play with him international and at Warrington, he's probably one of the biggest honours for me. Yeah,
he's a proper bloke as well, isn't he? He's a cracking bloke, Adrian Moore.
Yeah, unbelievable bloke, unbelievable.
Yeah, well, mention him when you speak to him. Mention him to me. I'd love to get Moz on at some point.
Yeah,
who's your hooker?
Monos, Michael Monan. It was a toss up between him and my good friend Mickey Hale. But Monos, yeah, he's just because he could play 7 if you had to him. He again win games single-handedly. The way he made space around the ruck when there was no space for us forwards was he just knew the game inside out, and he went to kick from 9, and he went to run, and he went to pass. His timing, he was a great pro as well.
I'll tell you what, he had a tackle on him as well. I remember watching him in the South Stand, and it's the man that you played with last year, Jermaine McGilvey. We played Huddersfield, and it was right on the 20. We punted it downfield. McGilvey got it. He started bringing it back, and Monners right in the midriff. And McGilvey is a big unit, and he stopped him dead in his tracks. I've never seen. Honestly, I would say it's probably one of the top 10 tackles I've ever seen in watching rugby league for my entire life. It was incredible tackling technique. Unbelievable tackling technique, Michael Moran. Who have you got in your second row?
I've gone for John Bateman on one side.
Yeah.
Again, good mate of mine, international, practice international, obviously over in NRL. He's just relentless, Batty. Yeah. Relentless. If you're one of them who you're going to war with, he'd be stood straight aside you. And then the other one, Big Sammy Burgess. I didn't know if I put him at back row or 13. You'll understand why when I said 13, but yeah, Sam Burgess, he's got to be probably best rugby league player, probably I've known probably the last 10, 15 years, I reckon.
We didn't see the best of Bateman Mark II at Wigan, did we?
No, we didn't, no. And whether that's down to external, not sure. Not to him to say, but no, international wise, he always pulls it at the back, and he's a proud Englishman as well. And you'll see a different Bateman over there this year.
Looking forward to that. And then finally, you said the big reveal. So Burgess is at 12. Who's your 13?
Lockers, Sean Lockers. Yeah. I think personally, I think if we had him playing in a 2017 World Cup final, I think we'd have won. I think he was a missing link. Right. Went down injured, didn't he? And we just missed that little bit of composure at times, and being in the middle of the field. That's what he brings you in. He's up there with Burgess for me. Yeah,
I mean, you talked about Nagama in terms of fitness and keep looking after himself. Sean O'Loughlin falls into that bracket as well. He's incredible at the end of his career as he was at the start.
I mean, he could have carried on.
Well, you are captain of that team. If that team, I say this to everybody, if that team went out on the field of play this year in their prime, Chris, how would you get them in Super League?
We've got win it, and you've got win it. You can't not win it with that. If I didn't, I won't be captain, and I'd be sacked, I think, as coach as well.
Outstanding, mate. Chris, this has been an absolute pleasure. I can't thank you enough, mate, for coming on.
All, I
wish you well in your 19th season. Maybe you'll be around in the 20th.
We'll see.
When you come to the when I see you about, I'll be sure to shake you by the hand. But on behalf of every Super League fan, I say this to every guest that plays the game of rugby league. Whether you play for us or you play against us, we wouldn't have a game without people like yourself. You've been an incredible servant to the game first and foremost. It's been a pleasure watching you over year. Go well in 2019 this year, the 19th season. And hopefully we'll see you again in the future on In Conversation. All the best, Chris.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.